welcoming you to the INTUNE Podcast with myself, Ashley Velvet Frost. I am a holistic coach and deep diver of life, fascinated with the interconnectedness and uniqueness of our individual life and healing journeys. We are not one size fits all when it comes to thriving in our health and well-being. We are a combination of our physical, emotional, intellectual, energetical, and spiritual bodies. It's my mission to support others in building their own unique toolkit for holistic living. I believe that knowing yourself deeply can in turn change your world. In this podcast, we'll be following the INTUNE 5 frequencies, a method for empowering you to become your own self-healer and bring your life back into alignment. The brainwave frequencies gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta relate to topic areas of mind, connections, body, direction, and spirit. You'll be hearing from inspiring people who are embodying these 5 frequencies, collecting insights, stories, tips, coaching, and guaranteed new ways of living in tune. So, welcome everybody to another episode of the INTUNE Podcast with myself, Ashley Velvet Frost. Today, I have a guest who is featuring under the THETA frequency, which is life purpose, passion, direction, where you're going in life. She is a life purpose coach and has been coaching people also through burnouts. Alessia Guarnieri. I'm struggling so much with your surname. Welcome. It's such an honor to have you here. For a little bit of context, Alessia and we met through, let's say, the shared pain of having both had a burnout. So we found each other through the internet, as all modern connections and networking goes. And we felt an instant connection in terms of our story, in terms of also having been in Amsterdam. And there's just a lot of alignment, a lot of shared experience. And I'm just really excited to dive into the whole topic of life purpose and everything that is involved with challenges of finding our purpose in modern times. So Alessia, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here and talking about this. It's going to be amazing. I know that.
I feel it already. I feel we'll have to set at some point a timer of guys, stop talking.
We always finish to have this long conversation, which time flies with you, really.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm very, very grateful that we've met. So I know a lot about you. I'd love for you to just give a little introduction as to who you are, how you got here, and a little bit about your journey, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Well, I first of all like to say that we don't identify as our job. So I always like to say we are a human being, we are souls in a human body. And that's the drive that I always had since I was little, the asking why we're here, what's our purpose, and eventually I got there by becoming a life purpose coach through a lot. I work in hospitality mainly for a decade. And so that brought me with a lot of people of different nationalities, different cultures. And I really love that. And the pattern that I found is understanding deeply where they're coming from. And it was just amazing for me. I was really excited, but there was always this drive of understanding why I was here, why I'm here, and what I'm here to do. And so that's how I came in contact with coaching. As you mentioned before, this drive to understand more about myself and other people around me eventually brought me to burnout because I was doing more. I'm a high achiever, so I'm always looking to achieve more. And at that point, I was really lost. So I lost completely sight of who I was and what I wanted and where I wanted to go. And so when I burn out, I started to work with a coach, with a purpose coach, and now leadership coach. And that's what really helped me. I said, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to give back what I received. The universe was so gave me a lot to work on. And so that's how I said, I'm going to express my potential that way. I really want to help people understand that once you break free from everything that is surrounding you, this is how you break free. This is how you live in your power. And so, yeah, I offer a service of purpose coaching, but I feel there is so much more to that I'm a purpose coach. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Beautiful, thank you. And the term purpose coach can be actually quite triggering for some people, because they're like, how dare somebody else tell me what my purpose is, or what the hell is a purpose coach? So can you talk me through a little bit, actually, what is it? I mean, if somebody says, I have a money coach, I have a relationship coach, that's a little bit more tangible in someone's mind. So what is a relationship? What is a life purpose coach?
Yeah. So first of all, as a coach, we guide people. I think that's very important to understand that, because I don't have the answers, but the client has all the answers already within. And that's the power of coaching. So when you come to put together with purpose coaching, purpose is understanding your talents, understanding your skills that you're good at and that you're passionate about. So imagine if you can harness your potential, becoming aware of your potential, connect to your higher version, because eventually we are all here to become our best version. It's a work in progress. So purpose coaching really dives deep into becoming aware of your potential. So what you love to do, what were you really interested as a child, and play with it, having fun with it. So taking off all that seriousness of, having a career and get it all figured out. And I think the most important thing is understanding that with purpose, you break free from the autopilot. So that's essentially was purpose. You break free from all the conditioning, you tune in with your truest self. So you go on a journey. And once you understand that, you start to harness your potential. So how can you work with your passion? How can you play with your creativity? There's a lot of different facets to purpose. And that's why I love to say it's a journey within. Mm-hmm. And it's the name Inner Walker, because really take a walk, not running, but walking, because you really need to enjoy that within. It's a journey of self-discovery. That's how I can put it in one sentence, because I would talk about it for hours. That's my passion. That's my purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, and it resonates a lot. I mean, life purpose coaching was also the first coaching that I got a download for. It really resonated of observing myself and in life, people having burnouts or feeling this lack of purpose. A burnout doesn't just happen from being in a high pressure job. It can also happen from I call it the slow burn, the day in, day out doing something that is not nourishing you and it's draining you. Absolutely. And there's a lot to be said. And I know you focus on this a lot in your coaching around the conditioning that we get from our family. Because I don't know about you, but most people, and my family included, were like, just get through Monday to Friday, get the money, get what you need to do, and then you can enjoy your weekends. Like to work a job that is actually something that is like your passion and your soul is not achievable. And it's like taking me so much work and inner walking to unlearn all of this stuff, because it's really deeply ingrained. So how do you work with people and helping them to get past a lot of this family, societal relationship conditioning that they have?
I think for me, as my personal experience, I didn't experience exactly what you experienced. To make an example, my family really encouraged me to look for my passions, like to invest in my passion. But there was still that conditioning of get a job. That job meant safety.
Yeah.
So you already have to figure it out by the age of 30. So you have a job and then you can start build something else. And in this case, and I think your case too, it was all becoming aware of what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, of course, we all want safety and belonging, but what do I really want? And why am I in this situation? How did I get here? And so you start to really understand what is that noise that you're telling, like the beliefs, the self-limiting beliefs that are going on into your mind.
Yeah.
For example, that being an entrepreneur is, a lot of hard work, and where that comes from. Like, is it your family that, always had a normal job, let's say, 9 to 5, which there's nothing wrong with it, but is it that what you really want? Are you resonating with what your family is saying and wants for you? Or do you want to be an entrepreneur? So are you willing to put on the hard work? And so you start to deconstruct this belief. You go to the root of it, and then you replace with a new empowering belief. And that goes, looking around. Like, there are people that became an entrepreneur. So if it's possible for them, of course it's possible for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power within. So it's that journey that goes into the depths of your mind, because it all starts with the mindset, right? And it's an empowering journey, because once you start to replace these limiting beliefs and becoming aware of what you want, you start to have that inner compass. So it's guiding you flawlessly. It's just starts like you're going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just you're on a bike, you start to understand these are the brakes, and these, if you start to pedal, it's going. And once you understand where you want to go, it's really a downhill journey, because everything starts to come together and you understand, you start to connect. Yeah, it's yeah, it's really beautiful. I mean, seeing that realization on people when they have that aha moment, as we call it in coaching, it's just so empowering for me, because the client get there, that human being got there by themselves.
Yeah.
I just asked question. So, it's magic. I like to say it's magic. Yeah.
Would you say that of a lot of the people you're working with, that it's particular ages? Because I've heard a lot and see a lot with millennials, the life purpose thing is like, it's coming up more. There used to be this joke of the midlife crisis, and it's really like this has shifted to the quarter life crisis, the 20 to between 20 and 30. Most of the people I know who are just like dramatically changing their lives. So have you noticed this kind of trend also with the people you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, millennials, and, that's because based on the research, of course, you want to understand why we are in this situation, because I went through the exact same and I really wanted to understand. And it's because we have a lot of choices. It's because we have so much opportunities, and yet we are in a scarcity mindset. Why? Because we comes from a lot of conditioning, maybe from our parents, our grandparents, and society in general.
Yeah.
So you get lost and you start to think, I'm never gonna get that job, or I'm never gonna be an entrepreneur and have my business, or whatever. It's because we have a lot of choice. A lot of choices, it's equal to having no opportunities for us. And that's what really fascinating, because at this age, you're really forming your mindset. It's shaping your culture, it's shaping your beliefs. And yet we feel so lost, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost, you imagine the idea of also like dating apps. Like there's always something else out there. So then how do you choose what you commit to? How do you know that that actually would work also with oh, I
Yes.
want to I have this business idea, but then would it actually work nowadays? Or there's, yeah, I mean, the entry, say the example of entrepreneurship, that in itself, it's like once you make that decision, it opens up a whole world of limiting beliefs that you didn't even know
Oh
existed.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know I've seen this a lot, that people are scared also to follow their purpose or their passion. I
Mhm.
do want to touch on actually like what your definition of purpose is, because maybe before we get into the practicalities of how that looks in life,
Yeah.
because this is something that varies per person. So how do you define purpose? How does it come into your work and the people that you're engaging with?
Yeah. Purpose is listening to yourself. It's really simple for me. It's really tuning in, and that's
Mhm.
why I love the INTUNE method and what you're doing, because it's really diving in the depths of your soul.
Yeah.
It's your soul calling. I know that it's so cheesy right now because everyone is saying soul calling, but it is actually like when you start to see that your purpose is guiding you,
Yeah.
and it's never about you, it's about others. It's how
Mm.
you give back what you have. Eventually you're gonna get there, because yes, you can be the the happiest person in your life doing what you love, but eventually you have to give back. You have to um, involve other people, like service.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah, if we
beautiful
want
quote.
to say one word, is purpose equals service,
Mhm.
like to really sum it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's beautiful. I mean, you know that. I know you do. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes, I think it was Sadhguru. He's like, "Passion is for you, purpose is for others."
Yes.
And it makes sense. Like we are social human beings. Like we need to be in tribes with connections and network. So to find that sense of fulfillment, like I remember when I did purpose coaching, that oftentimes people are like, "I'm like, what do you want?" They're like, "I want to be on a tropical island. I want to be relaxing with a mimosa. And really resting." And it's
Yeah.
like, I know a lot of people doing that, but there's something that you will be on that beach, and it may be a week, it may be 5 months, maybe even 10 years, but at some
Yeah.
point, that little niggling voice is like, something's missing. What is
Exactly.
missing? And like you say, this is the creation and engagement with the people in your life, whether it's your family, your community, through your business, all of these aspects. And
I
I
love
find that nowadays a lot of people are working in jobs that you don't know what your purpose is. Like you
it.
go in and you're a cog in a big machine of thousands of people in a corporate company, and it's like, how am I directly making an impact with what I'm doing today? And
Exactly that.
yeah.
Exactly that. You went directly to the point. And I heard this definition, and Jay Shetty actually put it beautifully, that your interest is like the newborn. And then you go into your passion and you're a teenager.
Hmm.
And when you become an adult, then you call it purpose.
Hmm.
It's that beautiful evolution. And yes, you can experiment. You can just, start with understanding what are your hobbies and what you like to do. But in the end, eventually you have to give back. You have to serve with your gifts and talents. And so that's beautiful, what you said, that it's exactly the point of why we're here. We
Hmm.
are, I like to say, we are one. And I
Yeah.
believe that. Yeah.
And have you ever had the critique about some people saying, if I work my passion, it's going to become work? Like I have a thing as a hobby and I really enjoy it, and if I try and use it as a form of work, then that's going to ruin it also. How can you kind of counteract that kind of comment sometimes?
It's really about you, how you go into that passion.
Hmm.
Because the moment I do something and it's not fun anymore for me, I drop it. And it's okay. It's okay to experiment. It might be that you are so passionate yourself to the bone. Maybe it's time to reflect, for a moment. It's not that you have to drop it immediately and say, okay, I'm done with it. just take a moment to really reflect
Yeah.
and go within, because maybe you're being persistent without having new insight about it. And so what can you do about that? Is it really something that you can adjust? Maybe you can work less hours, finding a new solution and adopting a new mindset. Because as for myself, I was passionate about my job, but I was working myself to the bone. And in the end, reflecting, burnout put me to bed to really understand, okay, you have to reevaluate what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had the time to ask myself, is this really what I want?
Yeah.
Am I in love with what I'm doing? Do I want to be in love with what I'm doing? There are all these kind of questions that comes when you just stop for a moment and understand, do I want to pursue this journey? Or maybe it's time to experiment something else.
Yeah.
But if you don't stop, some people really encourage this hustle culture, right? That comes eventually with burnout in the end, because that's the outcome. Well, if you encourage hustle culture, how can you understand where you're going? Like, you don't take time for yourself. We talk a lot about self-love, self-care. Are you really taking the time for yourself? We always think outside and we always look outside. So are you really taking the time to reflect, introspect, and reassess? Because in the end, you might slightly want to go on the right, or you just want to change. You just want to close that path and do something else.
Yeah. And this is almost a regular practice. This should be almost purpose. I'm sure you agree. Purpose doesn't stay the same. It sort of shifts. So, like you say, this like taking inventory of where you're at. Are your values the same? Is yourself the same? Your environment, the people.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like almost like every few years. This should be, or even more regularly. It's part of your life maintenance.
Yes. Yeah, we change. Like, your interests change, your passion change, and your purpose might change.
Yeah.
In the end, it's always about serving, it's always about others, but it might change how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
When you do it, what you're doing about it. It's so beautifully, like you said it so well. It's really about understanding that we are always evolving. That's why we're here.
The only
So,
inevitable in life, isn't it? Change. And we
yes.
try and fight it a lot sometimes. But
Yes, that resistance is
mm,
that, like, we need it, but we always embrace that resistance instead of,
yeah.
just let it go. Just let it go. And that resistance is what causing you to grow. You
Mm-hmm.
need to understand where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love that. I've definitely seen some people's purpose change, for example, when they have children.
Mm.
So it shifts maybe less from being a coach than to actually, okay, more to my child for this point in my life. And that's
Yes.
also a purpose. Like, I always think it shouldn't be just, oh, I'm having a big high flying job and that is my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the purpose could be caring for one person. And that's
Yeah.
the difference you make in this lifetime. I think we're always so, like you say, high achievers. I can also resonate
Mhm.
with that.
We used to think big, and I don't know, I'm the first one, to be honest. I'm always like, I need to start this new routine, and I'm always having in my mind this big picture, like I have to start big. No, can I start small?
Mhm.
Can I start with 5 minutes of this new workout, for
Yeah.
example?
Yeah.
But I love what she said, and that's so important, that purpose is in every day you're fulfilling your purpose just by being alive.
Mhm.
You maybe don't know that, but even a small act of kindness. And I think I read somewhere, I can't remember right now, but it's like even feeding a bird is fulfilling purpose. Like, you
Mhm.
don't have to think of So yeah, purpose is in your everyday life. It's just about recognizing the little things. So becoming aware of that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, well, I have had a lot of experience with people who maybe have started to tap into this, like, what do I like? What are my passions? What are my values? And they're also knowing that where they're at right now is not it. They're like, I don't know what it is that I'm going to, but it's not this. That phrase, not this, it's so relevant sometimes for loads of situations when your body is really giving you signals like this is not where you're meant to be. So is there any kind of beginner tips you could give people who are stuck in that job that's draining them, who are maybe know they're heading for burnout, but they're not there yet, and just are scared to hell? As I feel like maybe you and I were both in that position as well. It's
Oh yeah,
common.
totally. I don't know about you, and that's what I want to ask you after this. But I really found help in coaching and community, which are outside of my work-related environment. That's really important, I think, because many times we are so stuck in that environment that we think is the only option available. So really looking outside for coaching, and it can be really in just self-coaching, starting with a few questions like journaling prompts. So to really understand what is happening at the moment. And then with community, so joining communities that are on your same journey. And that means, for example, I found the Jay Shetty community, the genius community. Not everyone was burning out, but we were on the same journey, meaning of purpose, understanding our purpose and understanding where we were. So that was the awareness phase of understanding where you're at with small steps every day. You can do it by yourself, but with others, it's going to be so much better because they really understand where you're at and what you're going through. Even if it's a completely different situation, it all leads to pain. And we're all experiencing pain a little bit, a lot, we're all here, the same boat, we like to say. So that's really important to seek the right support and also surrounding yourself with people that are on the same vibe, are on the same trajectory. So that was for me, but I'm curious also about you. What was your experiencing? Because for me, it was almost at the beginning of my burnout. So I'm not sure about you. So I'm eager to hear.
Yeah, I was working in corporate and my burnout came in 2018. So for me, I actually continued working in corporate for another 18 months. After having the 2 months in bed, the depression, the being told by doctors there's no cure for this chronic fatigue that you have, and it's normally 1 to 2 years before people with it, because I did have a virus as well, so my body was also recovering from this. And they were like, it's 1 to 2 years for people to recover from this, so off you go into the world, try and do your best. And I thought changing jobs would help, which it did because it removed me from one scenario, but your patterns and working behaviors, your shadows, your baggage follow you. So again, and like you're about 6 months in, the honeymoon period finishes, and then again the shadows come up. And then for me, this was also like limiting beliefs, the blocks, the procrastination, my body starting to scream at me that I'm not in the right place. I mean, I was in an industry, the logistics industry. What is that? Like, this is not, me, it's not suited to my personality, nothing conscious about it, so much waste, so much old mentality. So for me, that what really shifted was also identifying what it is I want. I remember doing this exercise where I wrote down how I would like my days to look. So what do I want to wake up doing? Like, how much time do I like to be with people or alone or one-on-one? Do I want to move my body? where do I want to be? Is it in a co-working space? Is it in an office? And really played around with that. And I wrote this in the summer. This was during the pandemic, like the summer of 2020. And I wrote this out. And I was also calling in with energy statements and like, what would it take statements to really get my mind visualizing the thing I wanted. And then the universe starts putting stuff in place. So I was walking around every day, biking around Amsterdam with this, what would it take to be paid to be me? What would it take for opportunities to flow to me? And then things flowed. I interviewed somebody for INTUNE. She then approached me a few weeks later to hire me for a project. And I was like, that's enough for me to leave my job. Let's go. And then, yeah, that's how all of this started. And I realized that my days look like that. And I've done this exercise again because as you go through processes in life, you shift again. So what worked for me nearly two summers ago is not what I want now. And it's like when you're up leveling your time and your locations also shift. Like I'm calling in now from Mallorca and the beautiful sunshine. So it's also doing that reassessment aspect as well. The visualization, yeah, and it's just really the network, really put yourself out there. Like, how would I have met this person if it hadn't been through following my passion of INTUNE and then deciding to interview them and reaching out to people that I'd not met in person and things flowing from there. So yeah, it's just being open also.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And that's so, I mean, it's a tool available to anyone. There's no one that cannot benefit from it, because it's literally working with your energy wherever you're at, but you put it so well, doing the everyday work. It's not something that you do one day and that's it, it's gone. You have it. It's really putting in the work and understand that it's possible, believe it in your heart that it's possible. And I would say also that, correct me if I'm wrong, you connect to that emotion, or you connect to really feel it in your body, because when you experience a burnout, and you mentioned chronic fatigue, it's so difficult. Like it feels like it's a never ending process that you're like, I've been to bed too, and it really like sort of put me to bed with body pain. It was really bad. I couldn't move. So you're in that situation and you're like, what can I do about it? But what you said, that's a big useful tool. It's like your mind, you can visualize, and you can just start writing down, this affirmation and this energy work. So that's so powerful, really. And I'm glad you share it, because that's really amazing. That's one of the most powerful tools.
Yeah, and this is really where INTUNE, the nature of this all came from, because if I had just listened to the doctors and just done the body stuff, and yes, a part of burnout is that your nervous system is in screaming overdrive, and we like to blame our body for putting us in burnout, but it actually means it's functioning very, very well, because it knows that you're in a place that's giving you stress, giving you, lots of, cortisol running through your body that then is making you go to bed. And we're always like, oh, my body's failing. It's like, it's doing its job. It's like you won't listen to your soul, so your body will get you to listen. And all these areas of life are so intricate with this. It's, yeah, like I can't put you in a box as being just in the theta category, because you work with people in the beta, which is relationships. There's the energy, the visualizations, the mindset, is like they're all interlinked. It's what's so beautiful about this.
Yeah, you shift your mindset, like you shift your perspective too, because you think you're broke. You think you're like, I'm never gonna get out of this. Well, actually, when you start to understand, and it's really connected to gratitude, which is something else that I think is the elixir, the magic elixir too, that has all the solution. But really being grateful, shift your perspective, and you get to that point that you're like, no, my body is functioning so well, that actually it's giving me a signal, like it's the red alarm that is telling me, hey, it's time to go within it's time that you stop and you understand. Because in the end, it's gonna tell you, you're gonna be in bed and now you're gonna listen to me.
Yeah.
So starting to be grateful, I think that even for my body injury, because in the end, that's where I ended up, really expressing gratitude for that happened, because it happened for me. It didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And I remember I was working with my coach and he really said, you have to understand that your body is there for you. Like it's your vessel. And if it's telling you something, you have to listen, but also you have to be grateful. So start to thank your body. And I remember, of course, it's not something that happened overnight, but it helps so much in my healing. And I'm still working with it. This happened in 2019. So I'm still working on that process of continuously being grateful. And I'm so happy, you know, that that happened, because I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
Right.
I think retrospectively, it's easier, I'd say, also right now for us both to look back with that. And it's more when you're in the moment, it's also very heavy and intense. So is there anything that, if you could go back to Alessia, who was mid burnout in bed, is there anything you would say to her in that moment, as opposed to like, I promise it's worth it? Because it's like, we know, like, we can see that because you heal retrospectively. You can't really heal in the moment because you're going through the trauma. Is there anything that you would have liked to have heard, or she should hear, or somebody else who's also right now going through a burnout, that you would like to say to them?
I would definitely tell her, I'm proud of you. Like, be proud of where you are, because these are lessons that we sign for. Like, as a soul, this is what we sign for. So I know that it might be hard to understand, but this is what you sign for. So be proud of where you are right now, and everything that's coming, it's going to be 10 times better than you can imagine. But be present, savor this moment, and be proud of all the things that you accomplished till now, because something greater is happening, is coming. And being really proud, because in the end, that's what I was looking for, external validation. I was looking for stuff outside, and, you know, even my manager, like, is he proud of me, or what is it? No. Stop that. Be proud of yourself. Be really proud of where you are right now. And I think that's the best advice that I could give to whoever is experiencing burnout. Like, don't make it even harder than it already is. And it is just a journey, as anything else that you're going to experience. Even if you're doing something that you love, it's going to be a journey, because it's not always a high. There are always lows, and that's life. So just be present in the moment. That especially, it's something so great that you said. We project ourselves in the future. We are like living.
It's also dissociation. If they're going through something very painful in that moment, it's I've been reading so much about this with where people going through PTSD, and that they're literally like, they have dissociated from the moment as well. So it's also trying to bring yourself safely, gently back to the moment and the body. And yeah, it's like, I mean, we could do a whole episode about burnout, and always welcome to come back, because the thing I always found, and I know you had this also, that to only talk about and coaching burnout, you're talking about the affliction every day. It's like you're focusing on the negative side, when really it's beautiful also to be, okay, well, maybe it's not burnout, but it's purpose. So that's why I also love the direction that you go in with that. I've had a question come through, and it's in regards to your healing journey to date. Is there anything that you would have changed, or you maybe an aha moment that came way later than you wanted it to, or is it something that you would have wanted to do differently?
Absolutely not. I know that this is, as I said before, this is what I signed for, and we don't live in regret. I don't live in regret anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Only one thing, and I told you that, it's like, I wish we would have met, when I was still in Amsterdam,
Right.
to do this emotional release, because I really take all the pain and put it in my body. It's something that I'm learning still right now, and it's that psychosomatic pattern that I have, and I'm learning right now how to embrace it. Mm-hmm. Because that's my body talking, that's my mind, there's something that goes on the subconscious level. But definitely, I told you, I was like, I wish, that I met you before, but that's only something, that was never meant to happen in that. I know we're here right now talking about this, and there's something even better coming, and it's a suggestion that I can give to people that are experiencing this slow burnout or very fast burnout, is tuning in and understand if your body really needs to release something that might belong to the burnout itself or something in the past, because we carry that baggage and you don't even realize it because we're so busy. Mm-hmm. Keeping ourselves busy in the end. Yeah. So, but I wouldn't change one thing. Through the highs and lows, I think that's what I was meant to go through.
Yeah, and the beauty also is emotional release can be done even online. So it's yeah. It reminds me, I had a podcast interview with a spiritual coach the other day, and he was really saying that also the way that your body is showing up with pain and physical sensations is not just the immediate impact of, say, a burnout you're going through, but it could also be something you're carrying from your family, from your lineage, from your even past lives, which before, for me, before going into this journey, I also would have been like, past lives, that's hocus pocus. But the more I've actually had these sessions, and it's not just coming up in your imagination, it's like you're really like, is this past life? And then that pain in your body is like screaming, and you're like, okay, cool, who is it? Like, let's have a conversation. What do you need? And to also be doing the energy work aspect in that way, it's been very enlightening, because chronic fatigue and burnout is very much those, it's energy. Energy stored in our body.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me because there are so many ways to work on your energy. You just need to stop and listen to yourself and understand, be guided by your intuition. And recently I was talking with another coach, and she's a Dharma coach. So purpose, we're always navigating around that. And we use the term intuition. It's sort of a commercial way to talk about intuition, but really is your inner authority. Mm-hmm. Once you understand what you need, you find your own way, you find your own method. For me, I know that emotional release is something that I need, but maybe you need meditation to calm down the nervous system. You start to experiment with that, but it's really interesting as well with past lives. Like, there are some things that the more you go deeper, it's sort of hiding away or running away, and you don't understand why you can't get a hold of it. You're like, I really want to go to the root, and that's fascinating because it's on your subconscious, you're carrying it, and you don't understand what is causing it. That's why it's so important to do the self work, like the self-development work, because otherwise you're just not realizing that. Yeah. But it's fascinating. I mean, this year, all the ancient wisdom is coming back, and which is not ancient. I think it's so modern that we don't even understand that. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's just everything you say resonates completely also with INTUNE. The phrase is know yourself, change your world. And that's why I have all of these people on and all these tools and different frequencies. It's like, I just want people to be given all of the things, and then you can pick and choose like what works in my life, what works for me and my preference. Because yeah, like a course that's just made, and this is the process, this is the method that works. Like, no, it doesn't work for everybody. Everyone has their own style, their own personality types, learning mechanisms, and yeah, like you say, it could be emotional release screaming into a pillow. It could be silent Vipassana for 10 days. Like, very
also what worked for you before might not work for you right now.
Exactly.
Because you're evolving. Like we always go back there, you're evolving. So be open to experiment other techniques, other practices. Don't get stuck. We think that, okay, I found the solution and that's it. I dealt with it. But there are things, especially right now in my life, there are different layers. And what I thought I healed, I thought I have my wound, I healed that. No, it's coming back right now on a different level. There are so many layers of the same trauma, of the same pain, that you have no clue.
And like the onion, like peeling the onion.
Yes, exactly that. So it's really about being open. Allow yourself to be open. Don't judge yourself, because my immediate thought is like, you dealt with it, so why is it that?
Like, I don't wanna.
I thought I worked it out. No, it's the continuous work. You need that consistency that it's going to bring you on a different level, like going really within into the depth of your soul. You need that. You need that to evolve. Yeah.
I know a lot of people who there's fear about starting this process, because as we're saying, I mean, that does not sound like a nice process. Like, why would I want to keep peeling the onion when it's just going to be like painful? Okay, painful. Okay, painful. So why would you even encourage someone to begin this process? Like, what is the benefits? Which is very broad. But
scary. It's really scary to. I used to think that I was scared of failure, for example. And the more I peel the onion, I was scared of success. But it might have been that in the beginning, I was really scared of failure, because I've been through failure. We all been. But now, the more I evolve, the more I embrace change, I realize I'm scared of success. I'm scared of thinking, what if this works out? And then, so there's, like, when I guide people, there's really this resistance. And I don't bring people into depths that they don't want to go. Because you have to be ready, you have to be willing to put the hard work and feel all the shitty feelings that are coming. Because that's part of the process. It cannot always be roses and flowers. Cannot be. But it's scary. I understand that. I have empathy, of course, because I've been there. But, I personally felt scared many times. I don't know about you, when something changed, or you had to go through new processes, new transformation. But for me, it was really scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. And like you say, you judge yourself so much. Like, the worst person you have is your inner critic. And I remember mine sometimes has a little whip, which is just like, you should have been over this by now. How dare you still be worrying about this? It's just like, damn, would I really talk to a child this way with my poor inner child sometimes? It's such a, and I remember feeling that you don't want to also be like, well, if you don't go through the healing process, then life will be shit, or you will have a burnout, XYZ. It's not to avoid a particular situation, it's to grow and feel more at peace and happiness in where you do go to. There's a lot of fear mongering also, like, if you don't do my coaching course, then your life will suck. Like, great.
That's horrible. Every time, like, well, there are different solutions, by the way. So, and it's not, that's a recurring pattern right now. It's not one size fits all. And I cannot stress enough. It's, yes, you need to start that process of self-knowledge, like acknowledging who you are, because that's how you know what's best for you. I can tell you, I can help you, but are we really a good fit? Because it works both ways in coaching. And especially for me, it's not the first person that comes, of course, I want to help you. No, because I learned that sometimes with your knowledge and with the amazing person you are, you risk that you obtain the opposite results that you want, and you might get even worse results, you know, for that person. You don't want that. That's why, you know, yeah, there are incredible coaches, but am I really a good fit for you? Like, what is the why behind your want to work with me? And what is my why behind why I want to work with you?
Yeah.
Works both ways. It's an exchange of energy. So it's really important that we work together and there's a match. Because most of the times, you know very well that you think you want one thing, and then in the process, you understand, no, that's not what I want. I want something else. And that's okay. But you understand that when you're open with yourself and you don't judge. We get to be stuck with people, especially in relationship, because you said, oh, I really want to be with that person. And then you find out that that person is completely opposite of the projection that you had in your mind.
Yeah.
But there's something that holds you there. It's like if you leave, you know, that guilt, that shame.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what happened to as well in relationship to me. And there was that inner critic, that inner judge. I don't know if you read the 4 agreements, that our inner judge that is so critic, that's so harsh. Mm-hmm. And through my work with coaching, I like to not call it inner coach, because I realize that it's there for me. Mm-hmm. I just need to be in my truest version and say, okay, you can help me. You're here to help me, but I drive the car. You sit in the backseat, but I drive the car. So I don't know for you how it worked. And I'm really curious to know about your experience with your inner critic, like your inner judge, because for me, it was so hard to come to terms with it. It was quite a journey. I'm still working on it, clearly. But I'm curious about your experience. Like, how did you befriend him or her?
Sure. Yeah, so this is exactly the point. There's 2 aspects to this. That my inner critic is very masculine, very mean, very wants perfection, it's like a very harsh, strict dad, wants the best of the inner child, and is very harsh, very high standards, and really, really mean in a sense. And what shifted is every time I hear this voice, I'm like, what voice is this coming in? Is it coming in as a masculine, or is it more feminine? Is it like more a mother nurturing, talking to her child, adding softness to it? So instead of like, you didn't do this well, you're useless, it's like, well, you tried, like, how could you do it better next time? It's almost like that's the term, almost reparenting. It's like the mother, that, not to critique, because I have a lovely mother, but obviously our parents all miss certain points of raising us, and it's not their own fault. So it's almost like reparenting the soft nurturing aspect.
Mm.
And this is something that is really quite recent in my practice and is just helping with limiting beliefs like nothing ever before. And it's working with the heart. Every
Yeah.
time I have a belief, a mean thought, a phrase, anything that's coming up, a block, something that I don't want to have in my body, I'm offering it to my heart and then allowing it to burn it up with unconditional love.
Wow.
Because when I got taught this, and this is by one of my friends, Karimu, I was like, but surely you're burdening the heart more. Like my mind was thinking, oh, but that concept of a heavy heart, it's like sinking deeper if you keep adding your burdens and your thoughts on it. He was like, no, the heart is like one of the most powerful things on this earth. The Heart Math Institute has, like, we talked about this on a podcast, but you can resonate the size of a football field with the force coming from your heart.
Yeah.
So your heart can take a lot. So like that little thought you're having, you're like, okay, offer it to the heart. And maybe it's a really vigorous thought. So then it's like, okay, it's weakened a bit. Okay, do it again. And then you may have to go through a thought 5 times. And by that point, you're like, that's really stupid that I think this. Okay, I'm fine. So that kind of engaging the heart so much more in what we do in our daily life has really helped me. And but this is also very recent. It's yeah, it was like 100% aha moment to activate my heart in my life and my work. It was, yeah, it's been very expansive because the heart is very closed, I think, for a lot of us in society. We dare not, we either show our heart and it gets hurt. We work in a job that doesn't allow you to show your heart. And when I mean heart, it's not just emotions, but it's the softness, it's the loving part of life, which we live in a harsh corporate world. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of, like we talk about it, that's a lot of masculine energy.
Yeah.
Lot, like we especially in work related environment, it's a very masculine energy, which doesn't mean a lot of men. It's just you need to prove, that constant proving of your worth. We do it so unconsciously, and it stays with us. It's sort of sticking to your energy. While if you balance, like you harmonize your feminine and masculine, I think this ear is one of the most powerful ear, is the ear of the mother. So there's really this coming back. It has always been there, but this year especially, there's a lot of feminine energy. Feminine energy is what creates, is that playfulness. It's so important to get these two parts of ourselves in harmony. There's, like, I'm sure you experienced that, and I love that you share it. Like, thank you for that. Because that was I experienced too. It's always proving, it's always staying on that hamster wheel. And the moment you drop that and you tune into your heart, tune into your feminine energy as well, is when things start to change. Like life has another savor. Life has another taste, has another outlook. Is that soft that we need. And I can see a lot of people that are still stuck in that. I have to prove myself. I have to do this in order to, and that if, when, strategy.
It's the radical idea that the feminine is worthy of receiving just because.
Yes.
It doesn't have to do anything. The feminine is worthy. And the feminine, and this, I mean, this really could be another podcast topic, is the element of being in our masculine energy, in particular as women in the world, is shutting down and really also impacting your relationships, your body, all of those aspects. Like, I genuinely think I was in my feminine energy like 5% of my week when I was working in corporate. And that was probably a moment I didn't even consciously realize. Like, maybe I got out of the car and I looked at the sky and it looked really beautiful with the stars. And then you do that and you're like, oh, okay, back to my to-do list.
Literally like that. Was okay to stop. Yeah, you really stop that process. I remember when I was in Amsterdam, it was beautiful to cycling through the canals and looking at the all little details. And it was so painful for me getting back to that, like going to work, or you had to do the grocery, like putting yourself in that masculine energy of doing, that it was sort of a trauma for me every time. I don't know if that resonates with you, but it was really like the child that still wants to play. And then, you know, the parents grab them and it's like, okay, it's time to go and throw them. It was such a trauma every time that eventually I got scared to let myself go and sit in stillness, you know, and just enjoy what the universe creates and what the universe gives us. That eventually I shut down. It's like, okay, I have to be in my masculine, I have to be in this energy because I'm going to feel safe, I'm going to feel protected if I'm continuously doing stuff. So coming back to the feminine, it was a whole new level of understanding who I am, what can I do, and especially understanding my potential, becoming aware of my creative side. I remember I got this job and it was really like in hospitality, but it was a very creative one. And I was stuck. It required a lot of creativity, and there were moments and I was like, I don't feel like doing this. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And if you add the pressure from the external, like I have to prove myself that I can do this, like the feminine doesn't work that way. You cannot put a harness, a leash on it and pretend that, okay, now I'm creative. No, it doesn't work that way. So there was this constant trauma of pretending, because in the end, when you don't tune in, when you don't connect, and you don't have that harmony in your feminine and masculine, you're just pretending, which is okay, because I mean, I didn't know. I'm not judging, but it is in the end pretending something that at the moment you're not.
And I think it's also really important to note this isn't gender specific.
Yeah, absolutely.
Burnout is regardless of your gender, it is the energy within you. It's like also men or non-binary people, it's not tapping into your presence, into your creativity. Like number one thing to connect to feminine, go to nature. Like, number one thing, like Mother Nature is just present and existing because she exists. So it's, I mean, this is, I remember I got set a task by my coach, and it was to go on a feminine cleanse. And I was like, okay, what does this mean? She was like, so for a week, I want you to be in your feminine. And I was like, how do I do this? She was like, as little meetings as possible, no to-do list, no scheduling. When you go to the gym, if you must go to the gym, she was like, don't do any weight training. And I was like, but I love weight training. She was like, and what music do you listen to? And I was like, heavy trance music. She was like, that's masculine. And I was like, okay, fine. Like taking a inventory of my day, and I was like, yeah, like there's a lot of forced structure in here, and not allowing space to walk, do meditations more, to really, like you say, give that space to tune in. So it was a detox, because by like day 3, my mind is like, but a workout is not a workout unless I'm sweating and like pumping iron. And she's like, no, like go for a walk. It's also a workout. You go for a gentle jog, but don't like do a PB where you're trying to run down the Amstel River like as fast as you can. Like do it and enjoy what you're looking at as you run.
Start noticing.
So I think a feminine cleanse can work for both people. And I mean, this also worked for my business partners who are more naturally in their feminine. So they had to do a masculine cleanse. So it can work both ways. It just, I'd say for majority of burnout people who are also struggling with purpose, it's more the lacking the feminine. But it is also a bit different. Everyone's got their own constitution as to how much they have of each. And man, I can go into that topic.
Understanding what you need. I mean, I remember that when my coach asked me, what do you want? Like we go back to the beginning of the conversation. I was like, I don't know. And I didn't know because I was so focused on accomplishment, achievements. And so logically, when you don't have anything else, because I was in bed, I was so much in pain, you know, I didn't know what to do. I started to isolate myself. I was like, I have no idea. And that's when you tune in into your feminine. So there's a lot of meditation. There's a lot of, yes, isolating yourself with purpose. So what are you going to do during this time? Walk in natures. There was a lot of calming on the surface of my potential, my interests, hobbies, passions, and things around me started to shift. Like, what do I need to let go? What I need to welcome in? What do I need to make space for? But what I wanted to ask is like 3 things that for you, like the top things that really helped you to tune in into your feminine, like to not even tune in your feminine, is really to get into harmony, these 2 energies into your body.
Yeah. So first thing is embodiment practice, which is essentially just dance. And this is not in a way of, structured ballet dance or something. It's to really get back in touch with my body. So putting on music, and this is where the emotional release comes in as well. Like if you are needing to stamp your feet and yell, put on a rock song. If you want to like be flowy and gentle, then also allowing that. So really seeing what your body needs for the day. For me, as a woman, for me, getting in touch with my natural cycle was one of the most important aspects. And that I really couldn't talk about for days, but for me, it was matching the different inner seasons that I have. So like inner walking the seasons of my month and embracing that, really living my life, honoring my cycle, not working when I'm on my bleed, those kind of things that really get you back in touch with your body and into this rhythm. It's like a rhythm in tune with nature. It's with the moon. It's, yeah, that is something that as much as you can go to nature, and that's the one thing I find difficult still in cities, even Amsterdam, which is a very small city, is real nature, not just a park, not just like the forest is lovely, but there's a park in my neighborhood that I must have just like in winter I'd go and like take my shoes off and just stand on the grass. I'm like, I don't know if this really counts as grounding because it's like probably grass that's like 2 inches thick.
I know what they're below.
Yeah. So embodiment, natural cycle, and nature to start. Like really easy beginner things. And like the feminine cleanse. I think for a lot of people we struggle with that because it's, why do I want to control my life? It's like, why am I afraid of the chaos, which is the feminine sometimes? It's not structured, it's not organized necessarily. Doesn't mean you have to be in that energy every second of the day, of course not. It's called balance. But really for me, looking into why am I afraid of chaos? And I knew why. I grew up around chaos. So it's like it was a trauma response. This hyper organized, hyper independent was a trauma response to the environment I grew up in, which was not very structured, not very timely, all of these things. So also giving love back to my little self who developed this, it's honestly a superpower as well. So it's like you say, the gratitude of your past self, the not judging yourself, like it is a superpower that you and I can be in our masculine and get shit done. It's so it's just knowing when to turn that on. And I actually have a really amazing quote by my mentor, Melissa Tofton, and she's saying, if you cannot consciously choose between the feminine and the masculine energy, you are heading for burnout. And it's really having that choice.
That's powerful. Recognizing that it doesn't mean, because at least for me at the beginning, it was during the day to recognize when to switch on and off, like to balance. It doesn't really work that way. Like maybe for some people, like that you crush your day 9 to 5 and then, you know, you tap into your feminine and you just Yes and no. It really depends on you. That's why you need to know yourself. For me, there are days that I have to do nothing. And nothing might means I need to meditate, I need to walk in nature. So to really tune in into my feminine. And there are days that I wake up and I'm super productive. I'm like doing stuff in 2 hours, and I thought I had to do this 8 hours. And actually, I'm so getting things done that I'm even impressed with myself. But one thing that really helped me as well to, you know, jump one thing from another, one energy to the other, is celebrating the small wins and congratulate myself.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but for me it was essential, because every time I would accomplish something, even small, the question that was in my mind is, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Right? So there's always this high achiever in me that is, okay, what's next now? What are we doing? What are we waiting for? And once I started to congratulate myself, to really stop and celebrate my wins. And it's not like, congratulations, Alessia, you did it. Okay, let's move on. No. It's, what are you going to do for yourself?
Yeah.
Because it requires a lot of energy from you, a lot of, thinking, and you use different skills. So it might be after a long day, you had a very hard day, that, ups and downs. Celebrate that day, because in the end, you're alive, you did it with all your skills, with your person, like, you are amazing. You really have to start to tell yourself you're amazing.
Yeah.
And recognize the small thing. And how you're going to celebrate? Well, you can have hot dog and an amazing dinner, or you're going to watch your favorite series. It's really the small thing.
Yeah.
So for me, that changed. It was sort of a switch to how I started to do things, how I continue. And it's a great tool. I mean, even for the small thing, I'm going to celebrate after this podcast. So that's, that's something. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, yeah, we've gone in depth. Like, thank you so much for just giving your gift, your energy, all the work you're doing. And like, I could talk to you for days and days, and I can't wait until we finally meet in person. And
yes, it's going to happen. But thank you. I mean, it's always amazing to find like-minded people and share our pain and our joy. That's just fuel for my purpose. That's just, my soul is craving for this connection.
Yeah.
And this is the right time, to find your soul friends, as I like to call them. You're one of them. They just appreciate so much your work and what you're doing for the world, because in the end, this is going to have an amazing ripple effect.
Yeah. It's magic is being created, and I'm just like holding on to the magic carpet as it's
I'm behind.
Yeah.
Holding on.
You're my Jasmine to my Aladdin. Okay, well, I want to thank you guys, also people listening in, and we're going to see you all on the next podcast as well. So thank you, love, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Love and light.